Kristin, let's take a look at what you've got for us in this set here. Companies moving to regional locations. Here's what you wrote. Businesses relocating from major cities to more remote locations is becoming increasingly more common. You're probably wondering why. Because it's a singular subject. This whole clause here, businesses relocating, etc., it's actually a singular thing. Okay, it's like this concept. So when you have something like this as your subject, the verb needs to be a singular verb. So is becoming increasingly more common. There are several advantages to this development. However, there are some major disadvantages as well. This essay will look at both sides of this emerging trend. Okay, great, fine. On the one hand, there is ample evidence to suggest why local governments prefer companies to relocate to regional areas. Okay. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, moving a business to a regional location may help add revenue, extra revenue, and breathe fresh air into a smaller community due to the increase in job opportunities created. Good. Secondly, by some residents moving out of a city, it might help alleviate the demand for housing, which in some capitals is high. For example, IKEA, the Swedish furniture giant, has located, you needed a comma here, by the way, here, has relocated its main office from Stockholm to a regional town around 2 hours north of the city. This town has attracted new residents due to the great job opportunities created and a more reasonable housing market, as the land is considerably cheaper than the capital. Okay, perfect, lovely. On the other hand, although there are great benefits of corporations relocating, there are also some disadvantages. This is largely because moving a company to a regional area might come at a great cost to the business. Okay, good. If the new area is not considered attractive for current or future employees, it may be hard to get the skills needed for the business to continue to succeed, and the relocation cost itself might be high. Another point to add, you don't need a comma here, is the toll that sometimes newly added infrastructures might have on a rural landscape and its habitat. For example, Telstra, I don't know why I can't speak today. For example, Telstra, the largest mobile network in Australia, moved to a rural area on the outskirts of Sydney. Their newly constructed warehouses with connecting roads made a huge impact on the local wildlife. This was particularly the case for the koala population, which decreased significantly as the eucalyptus trees they mainly feed on were cut down to make room for the new infrastructure. All right, great. You had these really nice paragraphs here. They were totally on topic. And then you had these rather developed pieces of support, which, it sounds like you really, had these examples to refer to. And I think it's wonderful. I mean, they were both wonderful, really, really nicely developed. So I'm kind of like, yeah, all right, there's really nothing else to say about this. So perfect. To conclude, local governments are keen to see businesses relocate to regional locations as it may add revenue to smaller company. I don't know why I cannot read anything tonight. Let's try that again. To conclude, local governments are keen to see businesses relocate to regional locations as it may add revenue to smaller communities and help balance, not balancing, because as it may add and as it may help balance the housing market. However, there are some serious drawbacks. The relocation might end up being costly for the business and it may cause harm to the rural landscape and its wildlife. All right, I love this, but I didn't like this. Rural landscape and its wildlife, rural landscape and its habitat. Okay, so, I mean, it just felt like way too similar. So that was just a small comment. It's so minor, though. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was a really, really, really good test, too. I hope you feel really good about it. Let's take a look at what else you've sent us. All right, great. So let's look at this tea production thing. Okay. The diagram illustrates the various steps taken to produce 5 different types of tea. Green tea, it's actually oolong. I know a lot of people can't read that second O, but it is oolong. Green tea, oolong tea, and black tea have the longest production chains out of the 5. After the initial sorting and cleaning phase of the fresh tea leaves, they are then withered. The next steps differ between the 3 types. Okay. Green tea is produced by pan frying, steaming, or firing the withered leaves. They can then either be rolled and shaped or dried with jasmine added. The tea leaves used for oolong tea are shaken or rolled in a basket to bruise their leaf edges. After which follows a short fermentation process before they are pan-fried and subsequently dried. Black tea is made by rolling the tea leaves into strips for, I think it's a G there, gong fu tea, or cut in pieces for broken black tea. The product then goes through a fermentation stage before it is dried through a firing ing process. Scented tea can be made from either green, black, or oolong tea leaves, which are dried and then infused with flowers or fruits before cooling down. White tea has the shortest production process out of the 5. After the tea leaves are sorted and cleaned, they get steamed and finally dried. Okay, so let's see. All right, it was 200 words. Your grammar is great. There's no problem. I mean, it was fine. But I got to be honest with you and tell you that I didn't love it. And let me tell you the reason why. The reason I didn't love it is because you didn't have a clear overview. In fact, I'm even going to go a step further and tell you that I saw no overview. I thought in the beginning, I'm like, well, maybe this sentence is the overview. But it doesn't really feel like it. It feels like it's just the beginning for you to talk about. I don't know. I mean, is this whole thing supposed to be your overview? If it is, it's not really appropriately done. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Number one, you need to have a signpost. You need to use like a word like overall, and that would really help. So overall, green tea, oolong, and black tea have the longest production chains out of the 5. Now, you could say essentially that maybe that's it. But even that, I mean, 3 of the 5, like, couldn't you have given us something maybe a little more, I don't know. I mean, it's only 4 teas. So you're telling me that the 3 of them have the longest? Maybe instead of doing that, you should have said that white tea has the shortest. Okay. So let me give you an example of what I think a good overview here would have been. For me, I probably would have said that oolong has the longest, has the most oh no, let me try that again. Oolong has the most steps, while white has the least, and all the tea types except for white can be used to make scented tea. Done. That's what I would say. That's an overview. So I didn't feel like you really had one. And you probably know that without an overview, you're not going to get anything above a 5 for task achievement, which is a shame because I know that you really did a lot of work here, to analyze all of this. So let's talk a little bit about the analysis of this flowchart. I thought you could have done a much better job of combining. Like you literally just included everything that you see. And you don't want to do that. Okay. I felt like there was no analysis, there was no combination. Like it just felt like a very kind of mechanical reporting of step by step. So I want to give you some suggestions on how I think this could be done in a really efficient and more effective way. So the first thing that I would say, okay, I already told you what my overview would be. I mean, your introduction was fine. So I told you what my overview would be. Then I would say that for the 4 tea types, white, green, oolong, and black, the first and the last steps are the same. More specifically, all tea leaves start by having the fresh leaves sorted and cleaned. And the last stage for them is some form of drying. Okay. And then I would go to white tea because it's the simplest. And I would say white tea is the simplest of the 4 as its only intermediary step is steaming. Okay. Then I would say green, oolong, and black tea share their second step, which is withering. Okay, and then from there, you have to see what the commonalities are. So, for example, I might want to say here that green tea of the 3 is the only one that is pan-fried, steamed, or fired. Okay? And then you could say that All three can be rolled. However, green can be rolled and shaped. Oolong can be rolled or shaken in a basket. And black tea can be rolled into strips or cut, depending on the type of black tea produced. Okay, and then you're more or less done with green tea because you already said in the beginning that it's dried. So then I would talk about this, oolong and black, that they're fermented, and I would talk about this difference. And then I would say that oolong is the only one that has an additional step of pan frying. So that's how I would do it. I hope that makes sense. And then I would say that all the types but white can produce scented tea. The leaves are dried, then scented, and then cooled. And that's really it. Okay. So that's how I would do this. Okay, this is your previous one. All right, so that's pretty much it. I guess that brings us to the end of this essay package, I believe. So let's talk about your next steps. I mean, I think you're at a really good point, but I still think that, we could make some improvements. Like this task one showed me that maybe there's still some room for you to learn and things for you to learn further. I thought your task two was great. I think you've really done very well. So tell me what you want your next steps to be. You will get a link for another essay correction package if that's something you're interested in. I'd love to continue working with you. So, let's touch base. Let me know what you're thinking, and we'll take it from there. Okay? Best of luck to you.